Hello, and welcome in, everybody, to another One Piece video. Today, we got the post-game show for Chapter 1172 on deck. How this works, in case this is your first time here, is that we like to look through the comment section of the previous spoiler video just to see what everybody's talking about. I will admit, I don't think this video is going to be very long because there's not too much to talk about coming off of this chapter, but we'll see. You know, maybe you guys will surprise the hell out of me, and we're going to have oogles and boogles of conversational topics. So, getting right into it, ripping off the band-aid, here we have it. The first comment says, Zoro's plan is to ask Dorry and Brogy which one of them is the king of Elbaf, like that little girl did hundreds of years ago. Oh, it's not a bad idea. We know that their personalities are still somewhat there. They're just twisted. So if you did ask Dorry and Brogy which one of them was stronger, maybe that would work. You know, the idea of having two kings is a little bit silly, even though Imu granted them that title. So if you realistically asked him that, would they fight? Maybe. But my thing is, would Zoro actually do that? And even then, Zoro and the Straw Hats, they don't know why Dorry and Brogy were fighting. That is a thing that only we, the audience, saw. Not even Dorry and Brogy really remember. The reason we got the flashback is because they mentioned something like, oh, like, you know, which one is bigger, Sanji's dinosaur or Zoro's dinosaur? And then Dorry and Brogy were like, oh, that seems familiar, but I don't know, because it's been so long. So the Straw Hats realistically don't know why Dorry and Brogy started fighting. So Zoro would have to conjure this idea from thin air. Can Zoro do that? That's the big question. I like where you're at, though. I think that would be pretty funny. This says, Imu's silence to Yaro's speech is going to be deafening. Yeah, Imu doesn't really say anything here. You know, we got multiple panels of Imu, and Imu's just posed up in the sky hanging out with the Reversi giants. I wish Imu was more talkative, brother. Like, imagine the lore, imagine the connection, the references that Imu could give us if they just like to talk. If they just wanted to drop a TED Talk. Bet you, Gunko's arrows will have the opposite effect on Zoro. Like, it'll tell him which way to go, and he goes the opposite direction. That was a big theory. This was always the biggest meme. Like, Zoro always gets lost with directions, Gunko's giving directions. How would that exactly work? And funny you mentioned that, because Zoro, since he is going after Dorry and Brogy currently, he should be nearby Imu. If Imu stuck around with the Reversi giants, they should be witnessing Zoro's plan. So maybe we will get a confrontation next chapter or the chapter afterwards. I don't think Gunko will be Zoro's final opponent here, but I do think a brief clash would be awesome. I mean, hell, it's the ruler of the world. I would love it if all the Straw Hats got a taste of Imu. Even though it's Imu in Gunko's body. I think Brook probably disassembled himself to get out of the arrows. That's a good guess. I think this is the most realistic option. Like, Brook simply, you know, took off his leg, took off his arm, popped his head off, and then just walked away. Still, I kind of wish he freed the Straw Hats while he was here. Like, I get that he might not be able to cut St. Somers' thorns, but the arrows should be cuttable, right? Like, he should be able to just, and then they're all gone. But he does have someone to save. You know, he does have to go after Gunko, and I cannot wait for that backstory. I will admit, as much as I want the Brook Gunko backstory, I hope it's not like an entire flashback. Is that just me? I think it's because we just got out of a 20-chapter flashback. But if we get the Brook one, I hope it's like just 1 or 2 chapters and then that's it. At the max, right? At the max. I'm just so invested in the Sun Realm right now, and Oda just reintroduced everything that it's like, okay, let's lock in and get all this first. You know, maybe, ideally, we free Gunko and we simply get the backstory post-Elbaf. Like, oh, like we're all chilling now, Gunko's on our side because she's not evil anymore. And then we get the flashback, and then they'll be fine. Like, just imagine, we hit another flashback, 20 chapters, and then boom, here's another recap, boys. It's been that long, huh? If you guys had to give Gunko's flashback a certain amount of chapters or pages, how many would you give? Personally, I think 1 chapter, 1.5 chapter would be perfect, but that's just me. This comment says, Zoro's gonna call in Mr. 3. The giant killer Galdino. Wait. Wait a minute. Okay, if you were to put Dorry and Brogy to sleep and you used Killingham to bring out their nightmares, genuinely, we could see Mr. 3. Would it be stupid? Yes. But it'd be so stupid, it would be funny. Oh, maybe Zoro or one of the Straw Hats like actively try to think of Mr. 3 and he comes back. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Dorry and Brogy. Killingham can pull anything out of your head. So as long as you think of Mr. 3, you can bring him back. That'd be hilarious, man. And hey, the One Piece live action is getting to that arc too. And we saw Mr. 3 in action, brother. And he's over here, you know, waxing up the giants. We could get a really nice callback. Like I said, when it comes to plot points, it's like a certain threshold where something is just so silly that I really enjoy it. And this is one of those ideas. Is this realistic? No. In reality, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on this idea. But deep down in my heart, I want this to be true. This says, me. When I see Usopp on screen, speed face intensifies. Dude, Usopp, I wish him the best. You know, Usopp has never really been my favorite character at all, but I do hope that he gets something here in Elbaf. A nice character moment, a nice fight, a nice attack, just something, dude. And this is Usopp's chapter. You know, going back to the title of the chapter, it's called The Elbaf I Admire. And who says that? Usopp. Usopp says it in this chapter like twice. I hope he does something, but right now, he's still tied up with Gunko's arrows. He's got to be freed first before he does something. And, you know, I'm not trying to shade Jinbe, but it's still shocking that Jinbe can't simply hockey out of the arrows too. Like, Jinbe's not weak. You know, Jinbe has full body armament hockey. What is he doing, man? What is he doing? Is he chilling? Swimming with the fishes? When Zoro says plan, it reminds me of his Enies lobby plan with Usopp. Oh, yeah, that was another plan. Yeah, he used Usopp as a sword. He gave Usopp a sword name, too. Like, from here on out, you're known as Nose Sword or something like that, right? Yeah, Zoro's plans, they border on good and bad, right? Yeah, like he couldn't really do anything else other than that, but at least it worked for a little bit. Oh, wait. Before he did that though, his first plan was to just simply cut off his hands. He said, hey, let's play rock, paper, scissors. Whoever loses gets their hand cut off, and then you just run over to Chopper and he'll reattach it. And Usopp was like, hey, I'm not doing that. So Zoro said, okay, plan B then. And boom, that's how we ended up with no sword. This comment says, and Usopp is still shooting beans. I love this, dude. Yeah, if you ever go on like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or anything and you see somebody talking about Emu and, you know, how strong Rocksteady Zebek is, King Harold and everybody else, all the upper tiers of the world, there is always a comment that says, yep, and Usopp is still shooting beans, guys. Imagine that. Final Saga, Usopp is still shooting those damn beans. If only Usopp had armament hockey and he coated his string beans with it, that would be so phenomenal. But Usopp isn't the armament hockey guy. He's the observation hockey guy who hasn't shown us any observation since freaking Dressrosa. He needs an upgrade, brother. He really does. I just got done watching a filler arc in One Piece. It was the one before we go to Whole Cake Island, and we meet this guy called Vice Admiral Prodit or something like that. And he had the ability to coat his bullets in hockey. He had a cannon and he coated the cannonballs with hockey. Dude, Usopp, man, come on. He definitely needs that upgrade, brother. And the thing is that wouldn't put him at like a crazy scale. You know, we wouldn't look at Usopp and we're like, oh, he's like busted now. No, but it would just make him relevant. It would make him really relevant against the opponents we're fighting. But we'll see. I'm still holding out hope. You know, like I said, as a non-Usopp fan, I expect the best for him. And I hope he gets the best. Jinbe on fireman duty once again. Who could have guessed? Yeah, library's on fire. School's on fire. Jinbe's nearby. Jinbe, I know exactly what you're gonna do, man. And it's funny, you know, talking about this, because when it comes to Elbaf, a lot of people are looking at these matchups like, oh, you know, Sanji fights that guy, Zoro fights them, Luffy, Loki fights them. Nobody's really said, oh yes, Jinbe fights a God Knight too. That hasn't really happened. And if it has happened, I haven't seen it, man. So sad to say, but I think Jinbe might get put on fireman duty once more. Sanji's going off to where Summers is makes sense because Summers was introduced as a certified freak, and Sanji has to unlock his Conqueror's Haki against him with the oversight of Scopper, who's immobile for the moment. Ties everything together. Also believe Zoro having a plan makes me nervous, because come on now, Zoro is all bronze, no brain. Hey, but sometimes brawn is what you need. Sometimes brawn is the strategy. So, I can't hate it if it works. As far as Sanji fighting Sommers, yeah, I think that's a shoo-in. Like, the minute Saint Sommers started talking about love, yeah, it's done, dude. And then plus Sommers is the one who beat Robin, and there's multiple women going to fight Sommers, or at least to save the kids right now. That being Garrett and Ripley. Yeah, dude, if Sommers is nearby, if Sanji's there, Sanji's fighting this guy on sight. Usopp getting a bunch of hockey balls from Luffy. Yeah, I mean, hey, ever since we saw the hockey knots, it's possible. Maybe that's it. We do know that Usopp loved dials back in Skypiea. Bring back the impact dial. Have Luffy do a Gear 5th Conqueror's Haki punch on the impact dial. That'd be busted. That'd be big, right? Like, I'm wondering why they haven't done that yet. They still have the dials. Usopp has them. He's used them before. Dude, the minute Luffy whipped out Gear 5th, I'd be like, hey, Luffy, hit me with one, brother. Give me an ultimate attack. Maybe people won't like that, though, because technically that wouldn't be Usopp fighting. That's mainly Luffy. But the impact dial, when you use it, it does, recoil, and you do get hurt with some of that damage. So that would be a nice Usopp feat. Usopp tanks a Gear 5th attack. I'd give him respect for that. This says, Brook broke his bones apart and escape. I like it. This comment says, if you put Sanji and Chopper together, you get Scopper. You do. You do. I don't know where to go with that, but you do get that. Surprised you didn't say one piece at a time. Oh, I need to work on my jokes. One piece at a time. I will admit, in my day-to-day life, whenever somebody says One Piece, or whenever I hear One Piece, when it doesn't have anything to do with the anime or manga, in my head, I'm like, oh, Luffy, ha ha ha. It's so stupid, man. It's like PTSD, right? Like, I'm just like, oh, One Piece, where? What's going on? Who's talking about One Piece? The big Ja Rule speech got me hyped. It was a good speech. It is a great introduction to the Elbaf War. Zoro might pull out the idea he got from Little Garden. He might ask Dorry and Brogy who is bigger between the two of them now, or who is much stronger now. And then they will fight each other. I like these ideas, man. It goes back to the first comment where they talked about rage baiting Dorry and Brogy. I like it. It's just that Zoro doesn't know why they started fighting. I guess you could kind of just pull the threads together and say, oh, they must have been fighting because of this or that. And then Zoro just, fills in the gap. I wouldn't mind it. But I don't know, man. The way we ended off this chapter, Zoro did unsheath his blade. He says, I have a plan. Ka-chink. It's like, whoa, what is Zoro gonna do? I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe he just uses Conqueror's Haki or just whips out something to get their attention and then he does this. We'll see. I think it's more Brook disassembling his bones and then coming out of the arrow cocoon and then reassembling. That's fun. Yeah. It looks like everybody's pretty much on the same boat. Mainly because Brook, obviously from that angle, he can't cut himself. Brook isn't using his soul abilities because it's not tangible. And then, yeah, Brook also doesn't have Haki to burst out of it. So this is the most realistic route. I hope if this is the case, that we see it. Because it just sounds silly. It goes back to that earlier comment, right? If it's silly, I want to see it, brother. I'm all for it. Even the cat is in on the intros. I think Brook probably disconnected his okay. Yeah, this is the third comment about Brook disconnecting his joints. Everybody's mind rubbed on this one. Zoro's plan is the fast ball special. He loves that move. Hey, Hiruden, you were at Dressrosa. Throw me like that Commodore guy. Yeah, throw me at Dorry and Brogy, dude. Come on. Oh, I love that. This was a good plan against Pika, though, to be fair. He looked at Orlumbus. He said, Orlumbus, throw me. And then he did that, and then he had Elizabello waiting on the other end to knock Pika's remains away. That was one of Zoro's best plans. Dressrosa made Zoro seem like a real strategist. This says, Brook could have just sent his ghost after Gunko. It could have, but we did see that Brook was not seen in this chapter. But to be fair, like I said, this and all the comments here were made off of the spoiler video, so we did not have the chapter in front of us yet. So, gotta give a lot of grace to that comment. Y'all gotta learn to respect Brook. Just you wait. The masterclass is incoming. To be fair, I think a lot of people respect Brook. I think a lot of people do. Zoro's plan is to speed up ahead of the Giants and get himself lost. I hope not. I mean, they're right in front of him. He can't lose these guys, right? If Hiredin wasn't with Zoro, yes, he would have been lost. But because he has the new giant warrior pirates with him, he is A-okay. This says, if the port is still up in the Sun Realm, we could see a great chase story while they stop the kids from reaching the sea down below. That is true. Just because they reach the ship doesn't mean that's where Elbaf ends. They still have to, go down to the underworld, hit sea level, and then sail all the way back to Marijois. So it wouldn't end there. If they go down there, the Straw Hats simply hop in the Thousand Sunny, and they chase after them. So yeah, just because they hit the ship doesn't mean all things are over. That being said, though, I forget the exact geographics of the world of One Piece, but if the calm belt is there, then that is when the Straw Hats would have to stop chasing the ship because of the sea stone coating beneath the ship. And just thinking about it right now, there's no way that this random ship off the coast of Elbaf is faster than the Thousand Sunny. Like, if we wanted to catch up to them, realistically, we could just use a coup-de burst and catch them right away, right? So, yeah, like, there's no winning for the God Knights, unless when they hit the seas, Gunko puts an arrow on the sea and they just zoom away, which would be pretty funny. It reminds me of all those video games like Mario Kart and Sonic Racing, where there's like always a booster pad on the ground. Gunko could theoretically do that. Like, oh, here's some arrows pointing over there. Zoom, zoom, zoom. The Straw Hats can't catch up, even with the coup-de burst. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. And then Killingham could spawn monsters in the ocean, and that would be like a big hurdle too. Which, I don't know. I feel like monsters in the ocean wouldn't work because it's seawater. So maybe Killingham's powers goes away like that, which might be the way to defeat them here. Maybe that's Jinbe's real job now that I think about it. Yeah. Jinbe takes the water from, the firefighters, and not only does he put out the fire in the school and library, but he starts dousing all of Killingham's monsters with water. And that is what defeats them. Kind of like the zombies in Thriller Bark. How their weakness was sea salt and seawater. That could be it. But yeah, that is it for today, guys. Let me know what you thought about all this down below. Again, shorter video, but that's mainly because this chapter is pretty straightforward. And, of course, because the next chapter is around the corner, I'll be dropping a pinned comment down below where you can drop your one-line theories for what we could see in 1173. Because the prediction video is coming sooner rather than later. Thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way until the end. I really freaking appreciate it. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out and stay safe, brothers.